and welcome to the Growth Advantage podcast. Today I'll be speaking to Ross Elliott from Chrysalis Courses, the UK's largest training provider in accredited counselling. It's lovely to have you here today, Ross, and I'd love to get started, if it's okay, by asking you to tell me a bit more about the organisation and the role that you play within it.
Yeah, no worries. I say my name's Ross Elliott. I'm CEO of Chrysalis and have been for quite some time now. I think this is my 17th year in the business. As you mentioned, we're the UK's largest training provider in counselling and hypnotherapy courses. We cover the length and breadth of the UK, so we go all the way up to Edinburgh, Glasgow, and across to Belfast, and sort of into Cardiff as well. So we cover, as well as all the venues in England. So we tend to have a venue in every part of the UK. We've trained well over 1,000 or 10,000 therapists over the course of the company, and we are fully recognised and accredited by the National Counselling and Psychotherapy Society as well as the Hypnotherapy Society, and our courses are validated by the Prince's Trust.
Fantastic.
That's kind of in a very nutshell about us. Our head office is down in Somerset in Bridgewater. We have a satellite office in Chichester in West Sussex as well.
Great. And with regards to the sort of operational side of the organisation, are there any current market trends or emerging technologies that you've noticed coming onto the scene that perhaps you're implementing across the organisation?
So counselling is historically a very slow adopter of new technologies. Online therapy has sort of spiked in recent years, mainly because of COVID.
Yes.
We have professional bodies, and during COVID, the rules were relaxed regarding face-to-face training because obviously we couldn't.
Yes.
However, when sort of normality returned, the rules were put in place that we're allowed to do 30% online training and 70% still face-to-face.
Ah, right.
So that for the profession was a big, massive change. So of course we've adopted various different video platforms and implemented those throughout the company. We also have moved sort of in the last 6, 7, 8 years to having all of our materials completely online. We use a platform called Moodle for that, which is normally something you find in universities. So that gives people obviously access online to their modules 24 hours a day, I guess. Internally, we have started to use more tools. So you may find on our website something called Recite Me, which is there for accessibility. That's sort of, we've had that for about a year now, I guess.
Right.
And we tend to use some things sort of more internally, like AI, for example. So that is more for if people are using something like ChatGPT, or they're wanting to get like an idea or a policy or a skeleton framework sort of thing.
Yes.
Alternatively, our marketing department will also use AI for some sort of creative ideas as well, should they want to.
Going back to the online and face-to-face split, is it still set at the 30% online and 70% face-to-face?
Very much so. I don't think there's any danger of that changing.
Right.
That's for our core provision. So your core course needs to have that split. If you're doing extra courses, for example, so you're doing either CPD or you might doing like level 5 certificates that we offer, they can be solely online. But your actual core training as a therapist, and it does make sense because obviously it's a person-to-person interaction. So you do need to have that face-to-face, but also online is a massive part of the profession now. So I would prefer to have a slight little bit more towards online learning.
Right.
Just so people are then also comfortable in that setting. We use obviously Teams multiple times a day. So internally we're perfectly fine with it. But if you're not used to an online environment, then it can be tricky.
Yes, I can understand that. Not everybody knows how to use Zoom or Teams or various other platforms, as you say. So I can imagine, you obviously have a wide range of clientele, and not everybody's going to have that technology to hand or be comfortable using it. Yeah. And going back to the using of these various technologies that you've mentioned, are you finding that overall they make it easier to operate right now?
Yes, 100%. So up until we moved over to Moodle, we were printing all of our course materials in-house. And bear in mind, we have about 3,000 students. That was a lot of paper we were printing on, shipping and wasting probably. So there's a environmental aspect which has obviously improved, but there's also sort of the efficiency from our side of things. So I don't know, if there was a mistake in the course materials, for example, we would then have to reprint, and then that would be a real painful task. However, now we can just sort of alter it and it goes across the board. So that
Yes.
has made a massive change to the company. It's also meant that we've been able to add extra value to the course, because we can add things like videos to the Moodle platform. So that could be, so all students get access to historic webinars that they can watch the recorded version of it. We can add extra tasks, we can add extra supplementary materials. Specifically during COVID, we added sort of beginner courses, and that's kind of carried on. So it could be something like, because a lot of our students are mature students, so that could be something along the lines of how to write an essay. If you've not done an essay for 20 years, for example, it's kind of be a bit daunting. We can add things to the courses like that.
Fantastic. So I can really understand how, that has made a positive impact on sort of the organisation and admin side of things as well, and all that paper that it's saving is amazing.
Yeah, it was quite a lot we used. So if we once we looked at being carbon neutral, and it was a no-go, but it's much more so now. We're actually quite from the other end of the spectrum now. So we're pretty good.
Great. And within the sector currently, are there any key challenges that are being faced right now, and how may these be impacting your business operations or strategy within the organisation?
I think the main challenges sector-wide are sort of the normal challenges as you would expect. There's of course the cost of living crisis, which does impact people. We're a private training provider, so we don't have any funding attached to the courses. So that's one challenge. It's also a challenge for people who are qualified therapists, because people tend to seek private therapy. That is a problem, because people need to prioritize. If they need to prioritize therapy, that might mean they're pinching money from elsewhere in their budget. So it tends to be what you would expect, your common things that you see on the news and everything along those lines. With regards to therapy, the profession itself, it's relatively stable. The professional bodies have all got a set standard amongst them all. They're all partners of scheme, and so actually that is quite calm. That everybody is pretty much pulling in the same direction now, and that's only good for the public, because obviously you can seek a counsellor who's on an accredited register and have confidence that they've met standards required.
So that's great to hear that obviously that accreditation is there, and is obviously a key part of the offering, and people can check on a registry and see that who they're working with or who they decide to use as a therapist is accredited. So that's obviously a really key component to your offering. And how are you finding attracting new clients right now, and has this changed much over the last couple of years or so?
It's slightly different sort of post-COVID. During COVID it was a lot different, because people were sat at home thinking, what can I do next, etc. It's relatively been the same old, dare I say it, I guess, for our advertising and finding new people. Our courses are still very much oversubscribed. There's still that demand there. That, fortunately, touch wood, has been the same sort of thing, really. It hasn't really changed.
Fantastic. That's really good to hear. That demand is still there. And what about your own sales and marketing team? Do you have that all in house, and have you got a good team in place there?
Yeah, so predominantly, yes. Our sales team are all in house. Our marketing team are pretty much in house. We outsource our Google AdWords. That's
right.
And if we do anything like radio booking or something like that, then we would outsource that to
Right. Okay.
a company, because we just, for radio, for example, we just would never buy enough for it be efficient for us to do that ourselves.
Yeah, I'm sure. Where do you find most of your client acquisition comes from? Is it through those Google ads, or is it from a variety of sort of outreach?
Mainly Google. Mainly we get about 18% recommended to us, which is quite high.
Yes, that is great.
And social media is kind of one of the key areas. So mainly Google and social media for the sort of paid advertising and organic.
Right. Fantastic. And what does your competitive landscape look like right now?
Competitive, that's a good question. So Chrysalis's main competitors are local-based providers. So because we're obviously across the length and breadth of the UK,
Yes.
we will find that our competitors are either colleges or local private training providers, and they are specific to whichever area we're running training courses in. We also, somebody like the OU is a big competitor for us, but
Right.
our routes are different. So they obviously run degree programs, we run programs on the RQF. So they are a competitor, but they're not. We don't offer the same product, I think. So
Right.
it depends on if somebody wants to go down the degree route or somebody wants to go down our route. But yeah, the majority, sort of the landscape is very much localized for us. So a lot of our campaigns that we have to run are localized as well, because you want to know that you're studying in your local area.
Yes, true. And with your client base, do you have a sort of a typical age range of students, or is it really varied?
There is quite a wide range. We're looking at ladies between 35 to 45 is our normal sort of our core nucleus. I mean, I think our oldest student to date was 86 or something.
Wow, impressive.
Very impressive. And it's a good thing about counselling is that actually you're not limited. Age is not really a barrier. And life experience is a good thing. You know, you strip it right back, you would go and speak to your elders if you had an issue that you needed to go and sort out. So you feel
Very good
comfortable
point.
if somebody is older than you. So actually, age is not a barrier. We regularly have people in their 60s, 70s come onto training. It might be that they want to do, actually, as a career-wise, a couple of clients a week, have something for them.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a full-time job or anything like that. You can be relatively flexible and work as much as you want.
That's really good to hear that people are getting the opportunity to do things like this, sort of in the more mature years. It's fantastic to hear, and you're quite right. I can see how that can sort of fit around somebody's perhaps their retirement lifestyle, as well as those that want to make a full-time career out of it. So, it's really interesting to hear what a broad range of clients that you've got there and
Yeah.
students. It's amazing. And with regards to your personal role within the business, what are you mainly responsible for within it? What does a typical day look like for you, Ross?
In this particular month, all over the place. But day to day, so obviously CEO of the company, we've grown over the years, so my role has changed. I'm less involved in the day to day admin, I guess. I try to work on the business as opposed to in it, which is easier said than done sometimes.
Yeah, I can imagine.
One of the things, so we've recently got a relatively new sales team. So I've been working with them quite closely to ensure that they understand what is quite a complex product that they have to sort of get their head around. But really for me, it's discovering new opportunities, been doing a lot more networking, looking at ways that we can bring on new products. We have a couple of exciting things coming up soon, one being Chrysalis Workplace, and that will be for workplace like employee package to help with their day-to-day employment, ideally reducing the number of sick days and helping with manage things like stress, etc. But it'll be working on those sorts of projects and seeing if I can sort of expand Chrysalis's reputation and people knowing that we're here. Despite being the UK's largest company in this field, unless you've looked, you won't know about us. So one of the things was recently I've become an ambassador for Ask for Angela, and that is part of that project, and we want to collaborate with charities on certain projects to boost their profile and also give back to some of the work that we do.
And if there was something within your particular role or day to day that you would like to potentially delegate or relieve yourself from so that it gives you more time to focus on building those sort of relationships and that brand building, what would you think that might be? Or have I put you on the spot there?
That's a good. I'm sure I moan about something. It's only because of the time. I'm spending a lot of time sort of in the marketing with the marketing team and the sales team, but that's largely because they're quite new. So that will fade away as they sort of understand the product. There's probably not, because whatever I end up getting into is normally my own making. So I do have quite a lot of flexibility in terms of what I can do, pick up here, there, and everywhere. And so actually, probably, I don't know. That's a tough question.
I guess being the CEO is one of those roles, isn't it, where you have to have your finger on the pulse, and each day is going to be varied depending on what's going on within the organisation at any one time.
Yeah, that very much the case.
Yeah.
I tell you
And
what, I've been up to London too many times recently.
have you?
Yeah, I'm fed up again. I'm fed up of getting the train.
It's a key goal, reduce the number of times you have to go to London.
Yeah, indeed.
And regarding the overall growth of the business, what are the most important metrics for you right now to keep driving the business forwards?
So it will be continue on core sales. Predominantly, that's what we have. That will change with the launching of the two new products that we have.
Right.
That will be sort of the biggest growth area. One of those being Chrysalis Workplace, and another being Chrysalis Talking Therapies, which will be a sort of an online therapy platform. So they will be the two biggest growth drivers for us, and they are due to come online in July this year. So that'll be quite exciting to see how they grow.
Yes, so that's great. So have you got a launch plan or a way that you're going to let people know about it?
We have. It needs some work on it. They have two very different approaches. Chrysalis Talking Therapies will be sort of a lot more social media. It will be sort of telling people that we're there. Here's how to book therapy online.
Yeah.
Chrysalis Workplace, it's going to be a lot more around networking. So we interact with a lot of companies. Our first thing is that what we're going to want to do is put Workplace in our business, make sure it's right for us. If we need to build on it, then we can do. But we also have some key partners who we're going to give that package to for free to get feedback on and see where there's areas that we can improve that package. Can't stress enough how much we're trying to make this value for businesses and make it really cost effective.
Yes.
And so one of those will be the King's Trust that, they've said that they would like to look at the package, give us feedback on it and go from there.
So it really will be a great time sort of exploration, seeing how the package is received, and hopefully see great growth going forwards with those two new products. Sounds like an exciting time for Chrysalis.
Yes, yep. We also randomly, which I haven't mentioned, we're planning on going to Australia too.
Okay.
Which is kind of in motion as we speak. It's quite a like-minded sort of country for therapy, so it makes a nice transition. As Australia as a country, they are changing their standards, and they kind of mirror what the UK are doing. So it fits quite nicely that we can kind of go over there, and we already know what we're doing.
Yes,
so
amazing.
That's happening this year.
So will you actually be setting up an office over there?
We will be, yeah. It's the time difference would be too crazy to try and administer it here.
Yes, I can imagine. But it definitely sounds, that you've got a lot going on over the next 12 months, which sounds brilliant. And how do you manage and monitor the financial performance of all of these different elements? Obviously, it's going to be key to make sure that they are. I know you're a non-profit organisation, but obviously that revenue feeding back into growing those courses and those products.
Yeah, I mean, we still have to make profit in order to be able to pay for staff and
yes, of course,
for growth and stuff. And anything we reinvest back into the company, but yeah, we still need to be able to pay people's wages, etc.
Yeah.
So when we set up a project, we'll always have a project leader on it, and that'll be their main focus on that project. So part of that is we believe in quite strong reporting. So data doesn't lie. Data tells you everything you need to know, and so that's how we make decisions based on whatever data there is. Also, my finance manager is very hot on it, and she will be looking at it in a microscope sort of situation.
Right, so you always know exactly where you are, and sort of it helps you to then set goals for the future, I guess. On that vein, what are your business goals for the next 6 to 12 months? I know you've touched on some of it already, but financially, what would you be looking for results wise?
I would be looking to sort of 6 to 12 months, sort of with the introduction of Workplace Talking Therapies and Chrysalis in Australia. I'd be looking to sort of grow our turnover by sort of 30%, I think.
Right. And in the next 2 to 3 years, how would you envisage the business growing, and what would your plans be at that later stage potentially?
In 3 years, I would love to have been in a position where we've increased our turnover between 60 to 75%. Mainly, these are big growth opportunities for Chrysalis. And if we achieve our goals, for example, we would like to get 10,000 employees on Workplace. That will make a significant impact on the company. And then what happens then, ideally, there'll be sort of growth into other countries would be a good growth, because then we can also take Chrysalis Talking Therapies and Chrysalis Workplace to those countries as well. So it's kind of see what happens, really.
Fantastic.
There's quite a bit to focus on at the moment, so I haven't gone too far ahead in the future, because they could either be a struggle or they could go really, really well, and then that might change our direction a little bit. So we'll see.
Yes, of course. It does sound, that you've got a very busy time ahead of you at the moment. But, it's great that you've got that vision for the future, and you've obviously got some strategic planning in place around that. So I really hope that it does go in that direction for you. And it'd be really interesting to keep an eye on how everything's going for you. And finally, is there anything else, Ross, that you'd like to share about your business, events coming up, or places where people can find you? It'd be really great if you could share a bit more information.
Yeah, so we have chrysaliscourses.ac.uk is our web address where you can find out all about the courses, as well as all our social channels as well. We're getting a lot more into LinkedIn, which is good fun. Personally, I'm not the most social media kind of person. I don't have Instagram. I have Facebook just about, but I have been trying with LinkedIn a lot more. We events wise, we've got some open days and stuff like that coming up, but I think the main thing will be when we start to launch Workplace for us and Talking Therapies is how we have fun with this. So we might, hopefully we'll be attending different business expos, sort of going out there having sort of some fun with it and see who we get to meet along the way, because that's going to be the exciting thing. Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that sort of challenge. It's going to be fun, and if we get it right, we're trying to not penalise any company. So for us, it doesn't matter if you're a small business with 3, 4, 5 employees or a big business with 25,000 employees. It's going to be accessible to everybody. So that's our plan, and we're going to really, really try and make a difference to how we believe it should be done.
That's a brilliant ethos there, Ross, and I've really enjoyed hearing about your business. Thank you so much for your time today, for sharing your insights, and it's been great to hear about all the plans that you've got, and we wish you every success for the future.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.